When I first got involved with EJ Network, I had never heard of it. We were primarily trying to find a way to find a solution because of the things that Alcoa had done at the old trash dump. And that's when I met the people of Environmental Justice Network.
We had a couple of small incidents before the landfill, but eventually the landfill was planned. We looked around, we had the largest sewage processing plant, we had the largest concentration of sand mines, that is where soil was excavated, and we had the county's dog pound, and now they were proposing a landfill expansion for more than 200 acres.
I was born and raised here. I was born and raised in this house. This is my parents' house. And I lived in New York for 27 years after graduating high school. And I came back home to take care of my elderly mother and my Down syndrome brother in March of '93. And within maybe a year and a half's time, I started noticing changes that I found to be unsettling.
They came out here in 1972 and made a promise to the community that if they would allow them to put a landfill in the community, that they would make it community friendly and community safe. And after so many years, they would shut it down and they would turn it into a recreational facility. With the promises of that, also the basic amenities, because in 1972, Rogers Road was a dirt road.
Because like I said, we were always in a fight. Northampton County, one of our commissioners, the best commissioner we ever had, he told us, he said, you all are gonna have a lot of fights because you're right off the corridor of I-95, which is a gateway to say that, you know, you're easy access because 95 run right through Gettysburg and you can get right off 95 and be right where you need to go. And he didn't lie, because we've had so much to come in to Northampton County, and we've had to fight a lot of it, and then a lot of it, I'm really upset with our commissioners, just like Enviva.
I worked at Alcoa. I worked there 32 years, 10 months. And the way I got involved with this was the fact that they had a trash dump in the black neighborhood. And they covered it up and said that nothing's leaching from it, and we're testing it to make sure that all of those things are going on, and yet it's still just covered with dirt, no liner or anything, and I just don't believe that all of that material that they put in the trash dump is not doing anything. It was used basically by the public and Alcoa. I used to go down there and play in it when I was growing up, and I could tell the difference in the soil.
So after they went into the Registry of Deeds office and manipulated my grandfather's documents, then they came out here to the home place and they took the physical land. They took part of the 3rd acre that's next to the road. They took part of the 15-acre tract, which is here, and this goes about 45 to 50 feet over that way. And then they went to the back of my mother's house and they took the 26.5 acre, and that's where they built the hog houses, 2 hog houses and a lagoon.
You know, we were fighting Enviva. It's not a profit to us. And, you know, we tried to tell them that the harm that it could bring to our community with the dust and the trucks and, you know, the whole 9 yards. So we've had people that were able, a few people that were able to move from the community to move because of Enviva, but how many people can get up and just say because something is in my community that I don't like, that I can just get up and move? We don't have that money to do that. So we've really fought with our commissioners a lot about Northampton County. I call it the dumping ground.
When we confronted the county officials and started a conversation with them, and we didn't get much results as far as canceling it. They had meetings with us, and the meetings were all polite, but it appears that they were going to proceed. So at that time, we suggested that perhaps we had to do something because we felt that we were treated unfairly. We had a proliferation of things happening in the community, and we had reached the point whereas we had to do something because we were being treated differently from other areas in the county.
So when they put the hog houses to the back of the house and turned this into a spray field, I think the intent was to run us off or either would kill us because the hog house is sitting back there with that odor, and then the spray field is right here, which is like about 8 feet from my mother's house. And this is where they spray animal waste on us. And as you can see how the closeness of it, the waste comes over here on us. It's just like it's raining when the wind gets it airborne. So we don't open our windows or we don't open the door. We don't usually sit out, because waste comes over here. My mother's clothesline was always back over here. They took the land so close that we really couldn't use the clothesline anymore because then when the wind blows, it would blow into the trees and all that stuff. Plus the waste would blow over on the clothes on the line. So many times I've had to take my clothes in, our clothes in, me and my mother, my brother, and wash them again, but it's hard to get that odor out once it gets in.
So in 1985, when they started saying to expand the landfill because it was reaching its capacity, there was still pushback from different organizations, different communities, because they pretend as though they were looking to put it up on Highway 54 somewhere. But that's where they got their first fight, that they couldn't put it up there because you had doctors, professors, and lawyers that we'll take you to court. So they come back to the area where they thought there was least resistance back to Rogers Road. So here we go again. Expand the landfill, now the landfill is on the other side.
So we had to take legal action. And that's what we did. And of course, we went through the courts. We tried to do everything properly. And obviously, we were successful in the end. But the way we felt was it wasn't necessarily that we were treated, perhaps worse than some people other places. However, when we looked around, it was concentrated in our community. And we didn't know what the direct results would be, but we knew the danger was there.
And my mother had a shallow well back here, and we decided that it was probably not safe to drink that water because that waste was coming over on the other side of this house. It was blowing, that's how far the wind would take the waste, and probably farther than that. So we got on county water, so now we have to pay a water bill. And the odor could be so overwhelming sometimes that we had to use air fresheners, incense, anything to mask the odor. Of course we understand the odor is still there, but at least we are not smelling the ugly, the odor itself. So that's another added expense on people who we don't really have that much money to begin with. Most of us, we're living on fixed incomes.
So we've really fought with our commissioners a lot about Northampton County. I call it the dumping ground, because whatever wants to come in, basically they will allow it to come, and the first thing they say is jobs. Well, the AC pipeline. Gave them a printout about that thick with the dangers of the pipeline, the ruptures, the leakage. We have a whole community right now in Garysburg that's in what they call a high consequence blast zone. Should they have a leakage or should it rupture, that whole community would be like California, up in flames, But they don't take note, and I say to them, they hear us, but they don't listen.
As we begin to pursue this, we go to the town of Chapel Hill, we go to a town of Carver, we go to Orange County. But see, we were speaking with one ethnicity, basically. And it appears that, oh, we see that you're here, but we're really not hearing you. And so we ask ourselves, you know, like, what's missing? So as we begin to go to these different venues and see what our municipalities politician was doing and saying, we always see that there was a pattern. Everything that pertained to Rogers Road was put on the back end of the agenda.
Why should anyone have to live like this? You know, you in your own home, you're doing all the right things, and then an industry like the pork industry can come in and not be held accountable for their actions, and then make people become prisoners like they have us prisoners in our own homes.
When I started working, I started asking questions about the trash dump, or started wondering why they just covered it up and didn't do anything else about it, because at one time it was on a Superfund site list to be cleaned up with 2 other Alcoa plants. But somehow it got off that list, and they didn't do anything about it or pursue it after that. And they never did anything to it. They just covered it up, and that was it. And they expected us to accept that. And I didn't accept it, so I started asking questions.